Hey everybody, happy Sunday. I am currently snowed in, sort of. Probably could get out now if I wanted to, but so wanted to hop on and do a live. I haven't been on this page doing a live, I don't feel like in a while. And if you saw my post from yesterday, I'm still rocking my bun with my scrunchie because I'm cool now. But I promised my kids I would go outside and play with the snow with them. So after this, that's where I'll be going, and I didn't really want to do my hair because I'm just going to get wet. So I just wanted to hop on. I'm going to run through my basic foundation routine and then hop into some eyeshadows. I just want to break down some tips and tricks because I hear a lot of times that I don't know how to do eyeshadow. Eyeshadow's hard. It doesn't have to be. You can simplify it. There's kind of an easy guide that I like to use. I just change up my color combinations if I want to spruce it up a little. So I'm going to start with something super basic and then show you how to make it maybe a little bit more, I don't know, a little bit more pop if you want like some shimmer, glitter, things like that. So I'm going to hop into my foundation routine. I'm using Maskcara Beauty. I always start with my Stay Spray. This is a setting spray. I almost said powder. Setting spray. I like to use it before, almost like as a primer. It gives your face a little bit of grip. The foundation that I'm using is a cream foundation, so this just helps it kind of stick a little bit. So I just spray it all over my face. If you want, you can always spray it into a perfector or a beauty blender, especially if you have like lash extensions. You don't want to necessarily spray the glue that they use. So I am patting this in just to make sure it's even. This is the perfector. It's damp, by the way, so it's not wet. You wring it out underwater and then put it in like a paper towel or a towel and just make sure it's almost cool to the touch, but it's not wet. So, and I will be using this later and you will see me kind of distribute some makeup and clean it up a little bit. The next thing I am gonna do, I've got my brushes over here. I'm gonna be using my 30-second hack brush. So all of the mascara brushes are double-ended, which is nice because you kind of get like 2 for 1. The 30-second hack is definitely my favorite to use for my foundation. You can use a few different ones if you want. This one's my favorite. And today I'm working out of my clutch. So this is, low network connection. Hopefully you guys can see. Hopefully it's not too blurry. But anyway, so this front part is like a wallet. There's like 2 little areas. And then the back is my makeup. So I'm going to jump in. I'm going to be using Amber. I've just been kind of living on the go, I feel like, lately. This is one way to do, before I jump in, this is one way to do it. There are a lot of different compact sizes. Whoops, as I throw some on the floor. A lot of different sizes, a lot of different designs, which are super cool. Some are double, some are triple layered, just depending on what you need and your routine. I, of course, have a ton. And then they even get bigger, so whatever you need. I'm starting with Amber. That's my base color. And again, these are all creams except for we now have powder illuminators and of course there's eyeshadows. So I'm just going to put this all over. I'm just kind of tapping like really lightly. You don't need to scoop or anything like that, especially if you're not used to a cream. It definitely goes on a little bit different, obviously, than if you're doing a liquid or a powder. Dabbing under areas where you may have creases in order to kind of prevent swiping into those and kind of making them a little bit more noticeable. Or if you have areas where you want extra coverage, dabbing is definitely the way to do it. So I'm just going to spread this all around. I'm not putting a ton right here because I'm going to be putting contour there, so I don't necessarily need to cover that area up. If you do, like on this side I have some spots, so I tend to use my highlight color there as well. I'm going to bring this down into my neck. Just want to make sure you're blending well along your jawline. You don't want to have different, mismatched face to neck. Okay, so now I'm coming on that. Well, first of all, before I even do that, you can already tell that like this side is brighter and it's a lot more even than this side. So like instantly you kind of notice this improvement in my skin tone. So I'm just gonna keep dabbing. And a little goes a long way, especially to make sure, you know, there's no cakiness, that you don't have excess product. Just make sure you blend well. You don't need a ton of product. And I'm just barely, every time I come in, I'm just like, you know, tap, tap, tap. Okay. Down here, I'm going to swipe a little as I distribute, and then I kind of come in and I blend. I swipe a little bit more along my jawline. Okay. It's a great primer too for your eyeshadow, so I always do my eyelids. Down my nose. Ooh, I keep getting this low network connection, so hopefully it's not like frozen. Okay, so a little bit just along my forehead here. I am gonna put some contour up top too, so I'm not caring too much about all the way up to my hairline. Just blending. And to be honest, I'm gonna use this mirror in here. Okay, so once I feel like I have covered everything I wanna color with my main highlight, depending on your colors, I'm gonna use, this is linen, which you can tell. Okay, so if this is amber, these are two very different colors. So I'm using linen just a teeny tiny bit, like you can't even really tell. A lot of that's actually just old. I need to clean my brushes. And I am going to put it as a brightener under my eye. And this, your like brightener color can be different depending on your skin tone. So I went with one that's a lot brighter, but I'm not using a lot at all. And I'm only putting it in certain spots. So I want my under eyes to be bright. So I'm just kind of dabbing. I'm not swiping because I already did my amber color to kind of even that out first. So I don't want to swipe and kind of move that around. I want that to stay put. Okay. So I'm brightening my under eye. I'm also going to do just a tad right here in the middle. Well, I guess, yeah, the middle of my forehead, and then kind of carry it just a little along my nose and a tiny bit here on my chin. So like right there you can tell it's a huge difference, so I really want to even that out just a tiny bit right there for a little glow. Okay, now at this point I'm coming back in with my perfector. So my perfector is going to help make sure I don't have any excess, I don't have creasing, and if I do, it's going to pick up just a tiny, tiny bit of that excess, which is why it's really important to not get this super wet. If it's like soaking wet, it might pick up too much. It's gonna kind of distribute your makeup where you don't want it. So I'm just kind of pushing. I'm not swiping. You don't want to swipe, just to make sure it's all blended. Okay. Now I'm moving on to my contour, so I'm going to use Astoria. It's a little bit darker, but really quick, I want to just show the difference. This is a bronzer, and that's a contour. So this is way warmer, and that's a lot cooler because it should look like a shadow. You don't want it to look like muddy. So depending, again, there's different contours depending on your skin tone, how dark or how light you are. I'm going to put this where I would naturally have like that hollow. You can kind of see it on this side a little bit more. Right there. I'm going to be kind of accentuating that, and it's just under, if you feel your cheekbone, you want to put it just under that. So I'm going to do this. And I'm kind of, always start with a little bit. You can always add more. Just going to bring it down. And if you can't tell, I'm like pinching this a little bit. On your cheeks right here, you're going to blend this out pretty well, so it's okay, in my opinion, if you use like a little bit of a thicker brush, because it doesn't have to be like super perfect. People kind of get freaked out, like, oh my gosh, I have to do contour, I don't know how. Just throw it on there, we'll blend it, no big deal. You just want to make sure it's not too high up on your cheeks and it's not too low. Kind of find that sweet spot for you. A little tiny bit along your jawline here, and keeping with the same brush, I'm gonna do my forehead. This is just creating like depth and dimension. So again, I'm not like being super crazy about where I put it. It's almost like I'm giving myself like a tiny little tan up here. And it should elongate. No, it shouldn't. It should shorten up my forehead just a little. Just kind of gives the illusion that your forehead's maybe a little bit smaller. And some people don't need to worry about that. I just like that it kind of frames the face. It kind of gives you dimension, so you're not just one flat, color all over. Okay, now I obviously have not really blended a ton on my cheeks, but I'm going to pull out my detail hack brush, and you can tell I use this side. I don't know why, but once I start on one side, I just keep using it because I guess I'm a little type A weirdo. I'm going to set just the corner, tap, 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 and I'm going to do my nose. So for your nose, you want to keep in line with the bridge right here. So I want a straight line right here and a straight line right here, just to create a shadow of kind of like a narrow, it kind of gives your nose maybe a little bit more definition and a little bit narrowing. So I just kind of like set it down, drag it down. So that's that. Other side, this one gets a little tricky because this is my non-dominant side. Set it down and just drag it straight down. And then if you want to kind of shorten it up, the appearance that it's shortened anyway, just like that. So now I turn around, and you can do this with the 30-second if you squeeze it a little bit, but the idea is that you have like this fine little line, and then I'm just gonna blend this out. Just up and down until it doesn't look like when I turn sideways, that line kind of goes away. It's like a shadow, right? That's the goal. So I'm going to do this on the other side too. Just blend this out. Okay, see how it kind of goes away? When I'm head on, you see it? And then, whoop, kind of goes away, right? That's your goal. You don't want it to look like a line on your face. So now I'm just going to come in, and obviously I'm a little bit more aggressive with this. Up and back. Don't blend down. It's going to like pull your cheeks down, and this is supposed to give you like a cheek lift. So up and back. Okay, and then if you blend, the heck out of this and you want to add more, you can do that. If you started super light and you're like, oh, I don't really see it, just add a little more. No big deal. Make sure you blend out your chin. Again, you don't want lines. You just are trying to make shadows, and I kind of already did my forehead. So I'm going to move on now to my blush. I love nude. Anybody who asks for color recommendations, I usually recommend nude unless you are super light or super dark or something like that, where maybe a different color might be good for you. This is my B² brush. I like to use the smaller end, and I'm just, again, tapping it. So this is still cream. All of these are cream colors. I tap along the edge. This is just how I do it. I kind of smile, pop my cheeks out a little, and I like to tap kind of in a circle in where I'm going, and then I slowly kind of just go like this, tap it on back. That's how I like to do it. And again, if you like more blush, you go right ahead and you add more blush. And it's supposed to be on top of your contour line. So again, your contour is going to go right here in the hollows. You put your blush, I think most everybody knows, obviously up on your cheeks. But the two should eventually kind of meet. And like I go from shadow to blush, right? That's the goal. So just, if you feel like you get too much, flip it on over, swirl it out, or take your perfector and kind of make sure you don't have any rough edges. Just helps to make sure. Okay. So from there, now I'm feeling dimensional, yes. I'm gonna use my illuminator. This is still a cream. This is actually one of our new, I don't know if it's a little bit bright, powder illuminators. They are serious. If you want a pop of color, you need to do the powder. Let's just show you. I'm gonna do the cream just because I'm staying at home. But here is, I mean, that's a serious illuminator, right? And then compared to, I'm going to use the honey, much more subtle, right? So depending on what look you're going for, I just use my finger. Which one did I do? I'm just going to use a different one because I can't remember. I just kind of swirl it back and forth and I tap it. It just gives you like this pretty glow. You're not going to look like you're going to the club or anything. I mean, again, you can if you want with that powder. Nothing wrong with that, but for a Sunday afternoon, I'm going to stick with my, my subtle honey one. I do dip it once more and kind of go on my nose. Now this kind of seems weird, but really in person, I'm just a little bit glowy. Nothing crazy. And then right here in your Cupid's bow, just gives it a little bit of pop. Okay? So that's that. And basically, 3D foundation wise, I'm done. If you wanted to add a translucent powder, you could. I usually only do that, honestly, though, in the summer when I'm super like sweaty or it's really humid or something like that. It's freezing outside. And my skin has gotten used to this cream, and actually I feel like doesn't produce as much oil, because when you're using a lot of drying products like powders and things like that, it's almost like with your hair, if you're trying to cut down on greasiness of your hair, you let your oils kind of sit there and you kind of go an extra day. Kind of the same with like your face. If you are constantly pulling that oil off, your skin's going to produce more oil. So sometimes people are a little bit afraid of, I just got that powder illuminator on my pants. Sometimes people are afraid of cream, like, oh my gosh, greasy oils. And actually, it's good for your skin. It's moisturizing. So, all right, I'm going to do my brows real quick. This is just how I roll with my makeup. I'm going to use Oak. It's a powder. Sometimes I do the Astoria Contour. You can use your contour a lot of times for your brows, just depending on the color that you get. I obviously already have a lot of brow, so I just kind of fill it in to make it a little bit more polished. You can use, this is an eyeshadow color. You can use eyeshadow, you can use contour, depending on how much you need to fill it in. I do both, just depending on my mood. I feel like the eyeshadows are just a little bit quicker, because again, the contour is a cream, but it does also help hold your brows in place. So I just kind of go along. And I liked it, so I'm using, I should probably say, my Know Your Angles brush. Can you see that on my dry, gross, cold hands? I turn it up and down, and I kind of flick to give the appearance, I don't want like super straight. I want them to look somewhat natural, right? I realize. It's totally, right? Looks natural, just filled in. That's my goal. So I should probably explain this. I start with my brush flat, and I find kind of where like my hairs start, and I try and fill that in a little bit first. Turn my brush sideways, or straight up and down, actually. And I kind of flick this up and blend it. So I'm kind of giving the illusion that I'm creating more hairs than there actually really are. So that's how I like to keep it pretty natural looking. And I might turn it sideways if I want to kind of get in there a little bit more. And then I just grab a little more and I slowly fill this in. I can hear them outside like sledding in our front yard. They make what they like to call bobsled courses, which are actually really fun. They're like just like making little grooves in the snow, and then you take your sled and kind of sled on down to the street. So apparently that's what I'm doing right after this. Wish me luck. Okay, so simple as that. Brows are done. I flip it over, I kind of brush it. Kind of helps distribute, whatever you put on your brows anyway, and just make sure they're in the right spot. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to eyeshadows. So, I'm taking my Eyeshadow Everything brush. So this I'm going to start with a simple way of doing your eyeshadow and then how you can maybe build upon it if you want to take it to the next level. So I typically use about 4 colors every time, but I'm going to show you how you can just start with 1, start with 2, whatever you want. Obviously 1 color, I just throw it on my lid. You know, nothing fancy, just kind of throw it on that lid. Maybe bring it up into your brow bone and you could be done. For this, I'm going to start with Sabrina, which is my like lighter. Obviously, I use it a lot, like champagne-y, has a tiny bit of shimmer in it. I use this as a base, and I put it basically everywhere. So start with my lid, I work my way up to my crease, and then I carry this all the way up into underneath my, on my brow bone, underneath my eyebrows. So I put this everywhere. It's subtle enough, though, that like, it's not a big deal. You can tell if you look real close, I got a little bit of shimmer on, but nothing wild. So same thing on the other side. This is Sabrina. If you want a color to do this with, but you don't want shimmer, Cupcake is probably a good one for that. Same type of color, but it's matte. Okay, so I bring that up to my eyebrow. Really, really natural. Okay, next what I'm gonna do, I'm going to take my taper end and I'm going to start, this is basic, this lighter brown color. I just kind of swiped it a couple times and now I'm putting it in my crease, but I'm just kind of lightly doing this because I just want to really place the color there. I'm not taking my fluffy end and like going crazy. So a lot of times I think when people see color, they're like, oh my gosh, that's intense. I could never use that. Well, if you put it all over, maybe, you should do that. But if you kind of come in, you start slowly, you can kind of work your way in. You just gotta take your time. So next, what I'm gonna do, I just have it right here. I am actually going to now connect, well, first of all, I should say this. If you have hooded eyes, open your eye and make sure that, hey, if I'm looking at, the mirror, I can see my eyeshadow when my eyes are open. So I like to make sure, it's not totally hidden, if that makes sense. Okay, so now take your outermost corner where you stopped with your eyeshadow and kind of drag it in to your lash line at an angle. Okay, so now I'm making like this almost triangular shape. Okay, I'm gonna do the other thing on the other side and then I'm gonna show you the other thing. The same thing on the other side and then I'm gonna show you how I kind of blend this out. So this could be like your basic, if you wanted to stop here, you could stop here and be done, and you kind of made the impression that your eyes kind of elongated. That's why we're going a little bit outside and we're pulling darker to the edge, because wherever your darkness is going, it's going to draw your eyes out, right? Right. So distribute. I might have to look in. Okay, distribute. You know what I mean? I'm just kind of tapping. I'm not blending. Now, once I feel like, okay, I've got enough on, I'm going to pull it in. And I'm making this, like, again, diagonal shape. Open my eye, make sure I have enough. Can you see it? And am I even on both sides? That's what I tell myself. Okay? I think so. Maybe a little more out here. Okay. So now, I pulled this down on both sides. Now I'm going to blend, okay? I'm going to start blending though, still with my tapered side. You want to just be careful because I put that product where it's at for a reason, because I want to still have my lighter color on my lid and a little bit darker up here. So how I like to start blending is I just slowly start swiping a little bit more so that I don't have super harsh lines. Sorry, as I'm doing this, I'm having a hard time speaking. So same thing on the bottom here. I want to kind of just swipe a little bit more than I had been. And I want to start to pull this outer corner right here by my lash line towards like my nose, just slightly, because I don't want it to be super harsh. Okay, so do you see how that's a lot softer than this side, but I still have like the dark towards my outer edge. That's what I'm going for. So same thing on the other side. Slowly swipe. I'm using my clutch mirror, by the way. Slowly swipe, okay, and slowly bring in on my lid. Okay, I feel like I have more on this side. Okay, I think I have a little bit more on this side. Okay, so once I get to this point, if you wanted a basic eyeshadow look, you could be done and move on and put mascara on, eyeliner, whatever you want, and call it done. But I'm gonna show you how you can build upon this. So you could do this look with any kind of color combination. I like to do tans and browns, obviously, it's kind of what I'm doing today. I like to throw on gold. You could do a light pink, dark pink, light purple, dark purple. I like to put my lighter color on my lid and then kind of use something that goes well with it for this darker crease, if that makes sense. So you can kind of take this technique and put whatever color combination that you want together. So now I'm going to darken it up a tad. I'm going to kind of show you how to maybe take this to the next level. This is fine, right? But this is how you can kind of work into a smokier look. You would just want to add on maybe some darker color towards the outside, and again, change it up to be grays, blacks, if you're really daring, or whatever color you want. So I'm just gonna barely dab in my oak. These are super pigmented, and a little goes a long way, which we just saw when I kind of got carried away over here. So because I'm going darker, I'm not gonna go everywhere I just went. I just wanna keep this to really in the crease and in the outer corner. And I'm just kind of barely kind of making a smaller triangle, basically. And I'm gonna blend because I'm just doing a teeny tiny bit. Okay? Same thing on the other side. I'm just doing like a teeny, ooh, I should use my mirror. Smaller triangle, darker color. Makes sense? I don't necessarily, you could. I don't really want to pull that dark color all the way in just yet. That's a little, not really what I'm going for. So, kind of building upon that. Now, I am gonna go to my fluffy side. I just wanna make sure I am not too harsh on my lines here. And I'm just gonna blend it out just slightly, but kind of keeping where I'm at. I don't want to get like too crazy with my browns too high up because I want it to stay where I put it, obviously. Okay, the next thing I'm gonna do, so I'm gonna take this, again, you could be done here, but I'm gonna keep going just for fun. So now I'm gonna use the color Blondie, which is obviously more of a shimmer, what's the word I'm looking for? Glittery color. And again, staying in my same color scheme, of course you could expand, go beyond, but I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna put it in the inner part and work. We were doing dark in, and now I'm gonna do the light out. So this is kind of gonna make the inside of my eyes pop, and then my dark is still gonna draw my eyes out, make them look a little bit bigger than they are. So I have a teeny tiny bit on. I'm gonna start in here, and I'm just kind of dabbing this. And I'm gonna slowly blend, but I'm not gonna go all the way out. Because again, I wanna keep my lights on the inside, and I wanna keep my dark on the outside corner. Okay, so now, again, we just kind of took it up a notch with the glitter here. I'm also gonna put it right here in the corner. Again, taking it up a notch. You could have stopped several steps ago, but I'm just showing you. If you want to keep going, you can, and kind of how to build upon what you've already got. Same thing on the other side. I'm just putting this probably stopping about the middle of my eye and just slowly kind of blending that out so it stays where I put it in that lighter section. Woo, it is hard to talk and concentrate. Okay, so again, kind of building on my colors. The next thing I'm going to do, again, you could be done here, you could have been done a couple steps ago. I'm going to do, this is the color Goldie, this illuminator that I showed you on the back of my hand. I'm actually going to put it under my brows, for my brow bone. So this is obviously like, you know, an extra step, but you kind of see the difference here is like my eye is much more drawn up. So that's what I'm going for here. Okay, other side, just lightly underneath here because again, depending on what look you're going for, you could get a little carried away, but hey, go for it if you want. So I'm just brightening, opening up my eye. So that's kind of how I do start to finish. I start out kind of basic and you can build upon, just using different, like I said, different color schemes. I like to do this with pinks and purples or all browns, just different shades of browns. I just like to keep it a little bit lighter on my lid and kind of build darker out to kind of pull out, and then I brighten it up at the top. So can you see? It's quite intense, but super fun. That illuminator, woo! All right, so now I'm just gonna throw on some eyeliner and mascara and then I'm done. So hopefully you can take some of those eyeshadow techniques and kind of break it down for what works for you, so it's nothing too scary or intimidating. And I'm gonna get right up in the camera here because I don't have a mirror. So this is just my tried and true eyeliner. I've used this forever. It's the CoverGirl Perfect Point Plus. It's like in black onyx, just super dark. I just like it because you can roll it up and then there's a little smudgy deal on the end if you want to blend out your eyeliner. Smudgy deal. I don't know what those are called. I guess just blender, right? I could just call it a blender and leave it at that. All right, other side. I just like to kind of, by the way, I like my eyeliner kind of natural and stopping like with my lash line. You could take it all the way in, but I kind of wanted that to be a little bit brightened in the corner, so I'm gonna skip that part. This just goes on super smooth. I'm getting like really close to my lash line. I try not to have a gap, so that's why my lashes keep getting in the way. Can you hear the kids yelling and playing outside? Okay. Last, I'm gonna put on my mascara. I am still pretty obsessed with my Bad Gal Bang. It's hard not to be because it just takes it to the next level. It just does. So actually, let's do it this way. I have a lovely eyelash right on my face. Okay. So I'm just kind of wiggling, starting really close to my roots and like kind of rolling my wrist as I pull this up, if that makes sense. Or not my wrist, I guess my fingers. You get it. You get my drift. Okay. So it just adds that kind of drama, obviously. I would probably, if I was going to do anything on my face, I would probably do mascara. I like my eyelashes. So get really close into your lash line and kind of roll it up. One of my favorite, I don't know if it's even a trick, favorite thing to do is to just like lightly close my eye or look down. And I just make sure that I got all the tips. Because you would be surprised how often you don't. Okay, I'm just getting the bottoms here. See that? It's awesome. Of course, this is a little bit dry. If you, by the way, just a little tip. If you do buy the Bad Gal Bang, it is seriously intense and dries almost like a waterproof. It's not waterproof, but it dries really quickly. So you kind of want to put it on and get it where you like it, but use a really light hand because it'll dry on you. And then you're kind of, stuck with it. But, all right, I'm coming back in with my perfector because I was wrinkling my forehead. I don't want my makeup to sit in my, low battery, to sit in my, creases. So I just kind of come in, clean it up if I've been like a little crazy with touching my eyes or something like that. And that's that. So I hope you guys maybe kind of learned a little bit of my eyeshadow tricks. But as always, if you have questions, please reach out to me. Feel free to comment below. I'll come back in and answer any questions. But I hope you guys have a great day. If you're in the snow like me, stay warm. Have a great Sunday.